We have an update on the story between Tyla versus Charlamagne Tha God on The Breakfast Club, so I thought let's talk about it. Hey, what's up? I'm Sowmya. I'm a music journalist and author, and here we talk about all things hip-hop and the music industry. If that sounds good to you, make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you haven't been following, I did a whole video about Tyla on The Breakfast Club. I'll make sure to link it in the description, so go watch that and then come back here. Okay, now that we're all caught up, Charlamagne spoke to Andrew Schulz and he gave an update from his side of the story about what really happened. Take a listen.
Sometimes, depending what it is, like if it's something like really personal, really serious, something I know is traumatizing, I'll be like, sure, I'll oblige. For this one, I said no.
Yeah.
And the reason I said no, they had 6 things they didn't want us to ask. You want to know what those 6 things were?
Yeah.
They didn't want us to ask about Kai Cenat. The whole "we friends though" thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, huh?
Okay.
They didn't want us to ask about her not being on tour with Chris Brown anymore. They didn't want us to ask about the color thing.
Injury.
They didn't want us to ask about her injury that she sustained. What else was it? They didn't want to ask us about who she was dating, which I wouldn't do anyway. And what was the other one? It was one it was just all frivolous
and
stuff.
why? What are they trying to do? They're trying to protect an image that they're curating for her?
I have no idea. And that's why I said...
Oh, but the Rihanna thing, comparing.
Oh, yeah. And comparison. And it wasn't even Rihanna. It just said comparisons to other pop artists. Huh?
I mean, that's a lot. As a journalist, if I got that list of topics that Tyla won't talk about, it might be hard to do an interview, especially on a platform like The Breakfast Club that's about celebrities and gossip and headlines. It's really hard to talk to an artist who doesn't want to talk about any of those things. In defense of Tyla's team, I also understand where they're coming from. Tyla is a new artist. Of course, she had a global hit with Water, but now her team's job is to almost play catch up. The song is so big, but we know very little about Tyla the person. I can see them thinking, we don't want her doing an interview that's essentially about her association with all these other people. Oftentimes for artists, especially female artists, it becomes very easy for interviewers to want to see who is the sort of cosign, who is the association to a larger male artist or celebrity that we can kind of peg them to. And I understand that Tyla and her team may not want that. She probably wants to stand on her own as her own woman. The most interesting part is that Charlamagne alleges that he actually refused Tyla's team. When they said, don't talk about these topics, he said no. And if you don't want to do our show, that's totally fine. So if that's the case, why would Tyla's team still ask her to go on The Breakfast Club? At the end of the day, The Breakfast Club is a huge platform. In the world of radio, it's syndicated, so not only does this interview get played in New York, but all around the country. Maybe her team wanted to roll the dice. They hoped that Charlamagne wouldn't ask those questions, or maybe Tyla would feel comfortable in that moment and would be able to answer those questions. I think what happened, it was the perfect storm of the interviewer who decided to go there and the artist who just didn't seem prepared. When I look at this situation as a journalist, I really feel like Tyla as an artist would benefit from having real journalists interviewing her in a long form type of a format. Send an interviewer to spend maybe days, possibly weeks with her to really get to know her. Interview her on more than one occasion. Interview her right-hand woman, who's her creative director. I would love to interview her family. Who is Tyla the singer? Who is Tyla the person? I think it really makes sense to give someone that level of access to put together a much more cohesive and holistic story. But it's hard to find the right journalist and the right real estate. How many publications want to pay someone to spend weeks on a story for 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 words? That's really the question. And sadly, because the media is in the state that it's in, I think a lot of new artists, such as Tyla, really do suffer. So in the end, Tyla goes on The Breakfast Club, and although we're talking about the interview, which is great for The Breakfast Club, we're not really talking about Tyla. We're not talking about her music or who she is beyond just these celebrity headlines. And I think in many ways it was a missed opportunity across the board. But what do you think? Do you think Charlamagne was in the right to ask whatever he wanted? Do you feel like Tyla's team should have pulled her out of the Breakfast Club and not even gone on the platform? Or at the end of the day, is any publicity good publicity? I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. If there's anything else going on in the media that you want me to react to, let me know. Hit me at Sowmya K on all social media or hit me in the comments.